Hey, runners, how's it going? Hey, do you think you can still PR in your 50s or 60s or 70s? Stay tuned. I think you can, and maybe you can't, but I'll give you three different ways that you can actually do that, even as an older runner. So, first of all, I've got four weeks to go before my Boston Marathon qualifier, and I'm pretty excited for the run we have coming up this week, which will be a 20 miler. Last week we did a 14 miler, and that worked out just fine as a rest week. And then this week we'll be going 20 miles, and it's great doing a 20-mile run as part of a group because they'll actually have a couple of aid stations out there so that you have a place to pick up some more water and take some gels, so you don't have to carry everything with you, almost just like the race. So it'll be a good tune up, like I said, with 4 weeks to go to get some long miles in. So I wanted to talk about PRs. And as an older runner, you might think, yeah, there's just no way that I could actually PR at a certain type of race or distance anymore. But the reality is that there are probably three different ways you can approach this so that you can. And of course, the first one is the easiest. If you just started running in your 50s, 60s, 70s, then yeah, you bet everything you do is a PR as you get started. And it's good for you. It doesn't matter when you start, it's just start and get out there and run a little 5K, run a 10K, even a half marathon, a short trail race, do something like that and get that initial PR. And that's a great way to get started. Now, if you've been running for a while and you got your 5K PR way back when, your 10K PR way back when, or even half marathon PR way back when, the other thing you can do is switch it up and change the type of race that you're entering in. So if you, like I did in my 50s, I switched from road racing to trail racing and ultra marathons. So even though I had a long history of PRs at different distances on the roads, when I turned 50, I started doing ultra marathons and there was a clean sheet. And so I had many opportunities to set PRs. And it's important to realize I've always been an age group type racer where I try and do real well in my age group. But the reality is you're really only competing against yourself. And having that target of a PR is a great motivation to get out there and train and do the things that you need to do just to run more efficiently, run faster, and even enjoy your running more. So if you switching to something like all of a sudden I want to do a trail race, then there you go. Even though you've been running for a long time, you can switch to a different type of race and start building up those PRs all over again. And you can either, with trail racing, it has more to do with probably a PR for a specific race that you do multiple years, because each 50K race, let's say, is totally different and is hard to compare apples to apples. But yeah, there's just a lot of variety out there that you can do so that if your road running PR days are over, just take a look around and try some different events and build up a new history there. Now the third way is something I think is really interesting. I was volunteering at a 5K race last weekend, and one of my friends was running in the 5K, and she did pretty good, and she was all excited. Yeah, it was a post-injury PR. And she had knee surgery, and this was one of the races where she came back and did better. And I got to thinking about that. For me, I had a heart attack a year ago, about died. So basically, I thought, geez, I'm basically starting all over again. So everything before a year ago just doesn't matter. And everything I do since my heart attack as I go on will be new. So if I go out and run a 5K, even though it might be slower than my fastest time or even 2 years ago, I'm counting it as a PR post my heart attack event. Now, for you, it doesn't have to be that drastic. Obviously, if you end up having a very bad injury or hip surgery, knee surgery, ankle surgery, something like that that just puts you out and you're making a comeback, you're in the same boat where, from then on, everything you do is a clean sheet and you can build that new PR basis for each distance from that event and just forget about all the old stuff because it just doesn't matter anymore. And if you don't have a big event like that, then the other way you can approach it is when I turn 60, you can say everything's out the door and everything I do in my 60s, I'm gonna go for set a new baseline and see if I can do PRs off of that new baseline. And you can do the same thing when you're 70 or even 80. It's pretty difficult if you've been running 40 years, 30 years, and those fast days could be well over for most of us. But pick a date, pick an event, and clean the sheet and start new baselines for the type of events that you keep track of and shoot for PRs off that new baseline so that you're still competing against your current self, not your old self. And I think you'll enjoy getting out there. You won't be so frustrated that, gee, I used to run this so much faster. I used to run up that hill instead of having to hike it. That goes out the window. You're just competing against yourself and competing against your new baseline. And I strongly recommend giving that a try. I think it'll make it a little more fun as an older runner if you like to compete. It's just another thing in there to keep track on your Strava. So that's it for this week. I hope that's helpful. Next week, I'll load you in on the success of our 20-mile training run and hope you have fun out there.